connecting.
Hey,
Hey, what is happening?
baby,
Oh,
how you
wow.
feeling?
I like that filter going on that.
I
You
know
had some
I'm with
sparkles.
you. Wait, hold on. This is actually the best dermatologist filter. Hold on a second. Let's see. Is that it? No, no, no. There's a better one.
This is
How
what's
you
going to have to
feeling?
do for the next 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
The
I
next
mean
few
the
weeks
next
until,
like
yeah,
however long it's gonna be. How you
exactly.
doing?
I'm feeling good, and partially thanks to you. I honestly think after 32 days, this is the day I felt my best. I hit a plateau. I hit a tough point for a while there, and we'll get into this, but it's a long recovery for people. It really is, and you have these expectations of yourself. Once you hit this plateau, you think, oh, you should be back at work. You should be back at this. You mentally put these expectations on yourself. And it gets frustrating, it gets depressing. And, yesterday I really just gave myself the day off. I didn't really engage in social media. I actually went back to the universe has your back. And
Great.
I remembered that under times of stress, you reflexively go back to fear. You reflexively
Yes.
go back to control.
Yeah. Yeah.
You reflexively go back to all these things that we're just taught to do. I must be better today now. I must be able to exercise today. I must reach this landmark. I must accomplish this at work. And you just realize in the big picture, pandemic or not, we don't have as much control as we think we have. And sometimes you just have to sit back. And you know what? That's what I did yesterday. And today I got on my Peloton with zero expectations. It was the
Yeah.
best exercise I've had in 2 months.
It's so good for your recovery too. So what you're saying is really profound, Paul, because what happens in what's happening to everyone in their own unique ways is that we're feeling really out of control.
Yeah.
And so and in general, the feeling of being out of control is the reason that people overwork. It is the reason that people drink too much. It is the reason that they overeat or overexercise,
Yeah.
or push themselves to the point of burnout. So what I'm seeing as a major, major theme right now is this level of I have to do more, because it's a way of trying to uh, stay in control of the most uncertain, most uncomfortable feeling of misalignment that we've ever known.
Yeah.
So so I think that the solution for that is actually there's quite a few solutions to that. Okay.
I'm ready.
Number one is to notice it. So the just notice it, just be the witness, I always say be the non-judgmental witness of your fear.
Yeah.
So when you see yourself like wrapped up in like, I got to get this done, I got to make this happen, I have to be making things better, I shouldn't be sitting on my butt, I should be doing this, the shoulds, notice it and just witness it and be really gentle with yourself.
Yeah.
There's my fear again.
Yeah.
There's
No,
that story.
that's exactly what it was. And it's funny because, and we'll get into this also, I'm so used to being the motivator. Even in my own world, as like a beauty guru, people rely on me, they give me their insecurities, and I'm usually the one putting them at ease, making them feel comfortable, telling them to be easy on themselves and to give
Yeah.
them perspective. So it's funny when like the motivator becomes the seeker. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it almost makes me, and listen, this is part of why I love you so much too. You've walked through the fire to see the light. That's part
Mhm.
of why you're so good at what you do. You deal with the same things everybody else does. And I think I was like my own spirit guide. I had to like just say, I would give this advice. I would give this advice all day long. People are DMing me about their illness and their recovery, which is traumatizing because I went through it also.
Right, right.
And I keep telling them all these things that I just haven't told myself in the last 30 days.
Right, right. So,
You know?
that's beautiful. I'm really proud of you for noticing that and acknowledging that. And you are the archetype of the giver. Just, in the new friendship I have with you, I can see that
Yeah.
part of you that's like, I'm the guide. I bet you're like that in your friendships and your
Yeah,
family. Like
absolutely.
everybody comes to Paul, like,
Yeah.
who needs some help? Let's call Paul, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like
And I love that.
that I know you do, and it's a beautiful quality, and I would never want anyone to change it. But you always have to be that for yourself first, and I think that's what you're
Absolutely.
realizing. I think that's
Yeah.
what you're realizing.
Yeah.
And Also, when you've had a traumatic event, which you have had, and I think that this experience for everyone, whether you've had COVID or not, is a traumatic event. But for those people who have gone through the hell and back of having had coronavirus, that's a traumatic event.
Yeah.
So if we were just on the phone, you and me, but thankfully we're here talking about this to people that can benefit from it as well, I would say to you, really do whatever you can to recognize the triggers, right? Because anyone out there that feels like they're a major empath, that they're picking up everybody else's stuff, that they're out there just giving, it can be really detrimental to your physical well-being, right?
No, I mean, you literally, you read what goes through my mind, because once I was like fever-free, had antibodies, and was negative, my first response is, I want to go serve. I want to donate my blood. I want to go to my local hospital. They won't let me donate my blood because I don't actually have a positive test,
Oh, so ridiculous.
Which is a problem. And they won't let me go volunteer in the hospital because they only allow, and this is understandable, 12-hour shifts. These doctors and nurses are only doing 12-hour shifts because they want to minimize the coming and going of these healthcare professionals. And in all honesty, the last 2 weeks, I honestly can't do a 12-hour workday.
No.
I just physically can't. So, it's exactly what you said. The reflex is to serve. And on a smaller level, there are so many people out there that are like, I'm okay to go see my elderly parents. I'm okay to go take a walk on the beach with it. People are at a point now where they're questioning, can I bend the rules? Can I bend the rules? And I mean, look at what they did in Jacksonville, Florida. They opened up the beaches with rules. I mean, did you see the video?
Yeah.
It's like people are like, it's like spring break.
Yeah.
And listen, I could have animosity towards those people, but they're all experiencing the same thing you're having. They're fighting to be normal, and they're working on reflexes. They're not working on what's going on inside. And I think we have to do that.
I think that, look, the world is in crisis. Not a lot of people, first of all, I want to acknowledge anyone that's watching right now, because there's a part of you who's watching that believes that there is a personal growth path that we can go further with right now, as obviously this is what you've advertised this conversation as. So anyone that's watching, go girl, go guy, you rock, you're amazing. But the majority of the people in the world haven't been gifted, let's just say, the bottom to recognize that there's a better way, or they haven't been introduced to a spiritual path or a self-help path, because it's not something that they were brought up to believe in. And so it's having a lot of compassion and forgiveness for people that may not have the tools right now. And so for those of us who do, we have to practice these tools so that we can be that's actually probably the greatest way we can serve, is through our energy. Our energy is our greatest contribution right now. So you recognizing, I can't do a 12-hour day because that will deplete me. I'll get sick again. I won't be there for my family. I won't be there for my followers. I won't be there for my patients. There is your answer, right?
Yeah.
Your
I'll do what I can from this standpoint, and then I'll move forward. I mean, it's funny, everyone's joking with me about, job security, everyone's going to look good again. I mean, you're going to have a very challenging period yourself the next year, as your role, as what you do. I'm sure, I have tough questions for you. I'm sure you're dealing with them, and you're someone that's dealing with the same anxiety. How are you dealing with all this? I mean, you're a patient too in all this, in terms of the world crisis.
Yeah, so I really don't want to sound like cliche and cheesy, because this is the most obvious thing that a self-help book author could say, but I'm going to say it.
That's okay.
Every single day there's a few things I've been doing. One is I've made my personal growth practice my highest priority, and it always has been. But when things are, when you have all the support and you have all the things working and everything's flowing, you could be like, I don't really schedule a meditation. I'll just meditate when I have the moment. Now I am routinized, okay? I am waking up at 5:45 a.m. before my son wakes up so that I can get into the bath. I light candles. I'm lighting sage. I'm doing all the things that you'd think some woo-woo person would do. I'm doing all of it. And I'm, stretching in the morning. Every day, midday, I do a 40-minute meditation when my son is asleep. I just finished it just now before we began,
Yeah.
where I just, just do 20 minutes of journaling, 20 minutes of meditating after that. And then, I walk with I don't have any childcare none of us do right now. So I'm walking with my son in the afternoon, and I'll walk up a hill with my son in the stroller for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. And in that time, I'm listening to my own positive affirmation meditation, listening to my own voice. And we'll give it to your people today, just reaffirming how I want to feel. And so I'm practicing this stuff like the full-time job, but then the threshold I had to cross into, and it happened pretty quickly for me, thankfully, because I had a lot of judgment in the first 2 weeks of this. I actually picked up my book, Judgment Detox, and did it again. I was like, girl, you wrote the book, get back in there.
You need to.
100%. But after having gone through that journey of Judgment Detox, what I did ultimately was get back, and this is where the cliche comes in, but it's so clear, just get back into this daily devotional, deep grounded place of gratitude. Just so grateful that I have food, that I have my health, I have my husband, I have a place to fall asleep at night. And in that place of gratitude, we also then are guided to compassion. And then compassion can really help us clear our own ego.
When I was in Vassar College and I was pre-med, I was an EMT locally in Poughkeepsie, New York. And I was very surprised. I remember the first day of training, they said to me, this is not a movie or a TV show about doctors or hospitals or EMTs. The first rule is, no matter how dangerous or benign a situation, if you don't protect yourself, you are no good to anybody.
That's right.
And I never really appreciated the more spiritual aspect of that until decades later. But I always felt that someone could be dying right in front of you and bleeding out. But if you don't have access to things to protect yourself, in the movies, they see someone with raw hands and raw mouth give CPR and stuff like that. That's not the way it works. It's not the way it works. And I think your practice is like that. And you know what? No matter what your accessibilities, the easy things in your life or socioeconomic class or anything, there are ways to serve yourself to serve others and recognize that.
Oh yeah. The thing that's beautiful about right now is that if you have access to the internet, you're going to get a lot of free support from people, and a lot of support in many, many ways. And we all have to be receptive enough to attract and to recognize to be to be conscious enough to find it. Because this is the thing, if we're sitting around being a victim and saying, oh, I don't have what I need, or there's no way I could get spiritually connected, what will happen is, or there's no way that I can find additional food resources or whatever it is. When we get into that mindset, we actually block our capacity to attract the direction. Okay.
Well, I think this brings me to my next question. And again, I'm giving you hard questions because I know these are things that people have.
I don't have any hard questions. You can ask me anything.
Good.
The level of confidence that you have as a doctor, I have as a metaphysician. I feel great. Ask me anything.
Well, it's about, a lot of people are just going through plain suffering right now. They have family members dying. They're not seeing them. They're dying. There are people dying alone. They're going through all types of they're in poverty already. They can't get food. And they're wondering, if the universe has everyone's back, how does that fit into the role of all this? And, whether you're speaking to a rabbi or you're speaking to a motivational speaker or you're speaking to a priest, these are common questions people have in plight. Like, what is the universe? What does it have in store for us?
Well, it gets right back to what I was just saying, which is that whatever our circumstances may be, and it's interestingly often easier to surrender when we have nothing left.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's easier because there's nothing to distract us. No matter what our circumstances may be, we are always being guided. I say that with conviction.
Yeah.
So in the darkest low, or in the best of circumstances, we have two choices. We can choose to perceive our world through the lens of fear, or we can choose to invite a miracle. We may not be able to just flip the switch and and ask for ourselves to see everything with rose-colored glasses. That's not at all what I'm suggesting.
Yeah.
But what we can do is be open, willing, and receptive to invite a spiritual guidance system of our own understanding. Now, you said something interesting earlier. You said, I was my own spirit guide. And it's true, because really, what does it mean to align with a spirit guide or a spiritual solution? It means to ground yourself enough so that you can align with the voice of inspiration in spirit, as Dr. Dyer used to say, in spirit. So you were humbled, you were brought to your knees, you were in probably, I imagine, one of the worst experiences of your life. The worst. When we were DMing and you were just like, this was the darkest side of my soul, I was like, I got you, man. In that place, you were humbled to the point where nothing around you could be your savior, and the only voice that would serve you in that moment was the voice of your intuition, the inner spirit that you believe in.
And so, all the people that gave me that, it's like, in Super Attractor, you talk about the spirit guides and people from the past, and whether you believe in ghosts or spirits or whatever, we all have voices that we hear, our living or deceased parents, grandparents, friends, things we've learned ourselves. That's how I view spirit guide. I view as the cumulative knowledge of things that you always know are right and sound inside, coming back to you when you need it most.
Your higher self, the voice of your intuition, the voice of the highest good for all. So that's my suggestion, no matter where people are in their given circumstances, is to make it a devotional practice to just willingly invite in the voice of their higher self. So that willingness is all that's required. So a prayer.
Oh yes, I needed that. And again, a lot of people are dealing with it with lesser disease, a lot of people with more severe cases. It's frightening nonetheless, because what frightens people most is the unknown. The first few days I was like, oh, I have 103.5 fever. I could put this into a box. In fact, my doctor and I didn't even think I had it, because I had, at that time, 4 weeks ago, if you didn't have a cough or breathing problems, you were probably just run down and had another bug, So, I was able to put things into a box. Is when I was unable to do that, that's when the fear came in. That's when the terror came in. That's when the questions, that's when I had to start letting other people speak to me and try and work through it. And fortunately, once I did kind of come out, I had such a huge support system that it was really amazing. But I had to keep my mind open to all that. It's funny, when I was sick, I do TM, and I've been doing TM very religiously for 7 years.
Me too.
I found it almost impossible to TM when I was sick. Maybe it was a breathing thing. It almost gave me more anxiety, and I was almost surprised at that, because it's something I had always gone to in moments of reflexive fear, not feeling great, and I just couldn't do it. And at the time I was like, oh, maybe I should try different forms of meditation. I don't know. Any
I'll tell you why.
comment on that?
I'll tell you exactly why. So sometimes when we are so paralyzed and immobilized in a fear state, trying to meditate might trigger us more.
Yeah, that's what it was doing.
And so sometimes in those moments, there's simpler practices. There's just saying, or not practicing at all. Distracting yourself in any way that you can.
Someone's asking, what's TM? We're
Transcendental Meditation.
Yeah.
And if you want to practice Transcendental Meditation, the best place to go that both Paul and I have been trained is the David Lynch Foundation, right? That's where you were, Bob?
Yeah, that's where I was. It's probably the most universally accepted form of meditation. That's where the Beatles went to. That's where it's been around a very long time.
I have a strong belief that I think, well, go check out Bob Roth and the David Lynch Foundation. I think they must be doing online trainings right now.
Oh, they are. I'm getting stuff every day. And Bob is online. He's on the telephone every day.
But if you haven't gotten a mantra yet, what I'm thinking is they must be, like, if you've already been part of the community, you're in it. But I would imagine if you don't have a mantra yet, there might be something going on.
TM.org, everybody. It saved my life. It saved a lot of people's lives, and they're going to be a great world. So anyway, so I'm so glad that you're reinforcing my inability to do that. And again, of course, I put, even coming out of it, it's getting better and better, but it's another, it's just another pressure I put on myself.
Correct.
Maybe I'm not meditating good enough anymore. You know what I mean?
Right. Here's what I want to give everybody. I'm going to type in a URL. There's two URLs actually. One of them, if you go to this one, you'll get both. So I gave away an hour-long anxiety relief workshop and an affirmation meditation. And this is my prescription for you, Doc. Ready?
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh, let me type it in. Gabby Bernstein. I should have had this prepared for you. Bernstein.com/relief. Okay.
Cool. You could even DM to me, and I'll give it to all my audience after that.
Okay. There we go. GabbyBernstein.com. You can pin it. If you tap on it, you can pin it.
Okay. Cool.
So GabbyBernstein.com/relief. There's like, I could sit here and give you guys 3 hours of methods, right? It's an hour right there for everyone. Yeah. And there's also a meditation that you get as soon as you get onto the page. This is a free, all free. There's a meditation that's an affirmation meditation. I want you to play it with your family today. And if you literally just press play, the week that the shit hit the fan and we were all sent home and it was just this crazy time, I sat down at my, here, let me show you guys. I have this little like home recording studio with my Lululemon yoga mats to buffer all the sound. And I sat down there and I just let whatever needed to come through. I did one take, just let this beautiful affirmation meditation come through, sent it to my editor. He put music behind it and it is so going to rock your world. So if you can't do your TM right now because you're still because frankly, you are in fight or flight right now.
Yeah.
So you really are. You just come out of a trauma. You haven't fully processed it. You want to, move so that you don't have to actually sit still with the feelings. Very, very, very normal, very, very expected. A lot of people are going to have PTSD from this time, and I can give you a lot of suggestions of things to do.
Yeah.
But one of them is if you can't do your meditation right now, just do a guided meditation. Just listen to a practice. Just even watch that anxiety relief video and just, do the heart hold. This is actually something I would really recommend everybody do today. It's in this video. You put your left hand on your heart and you put your right hand on your belly. And you can close your eyes, or you can, not right now, you can just take a deep breath. And why don't we actually just do it for a moment? Just close your eyes and just take a deep breath in. And on the inhale, just extend your diaphragm. On the exhale, let your diaphragm relax. You've got your heart held and your belly held, and you're breathing in and your diaphragm extends. And you exhale and you let your diaphragm relax. Breathing in again, your diaphragm is extending. And exhale, you're relaxing. And another deep breath in and extend your diaphragm. And exhale, let it go. And we'll do a few more deep breaths just in and out the way we have. And I'll just affirm how we want to feel. I am safe. I am supported. I'm doing enough. I am safe. I am supported. I am doing enough. Take another deep breath in and let that go. And when you're ready, open your eyes. That was for you, Paul, for everybody, but for you, because when you've been in a place that feels so unsafe and so scary and so out of control, there's a lot of work to regulate your nervous system.
Yeah.
So that heart, this is a trauma technique where you put your hand on your heart and your hand on your belly, or you could put your left hand on your heart and your right hand on your forehead. And in that hold, just breathe. And do that every day for a few moments. And then that can then build up and build up. And eventually you'll find yourself in that hold, just repeating your mantra again.
Yeah.
For a few minutes. a few minutes longer, a few minutes longer.
I think there are a lot of people that are going to be doing that today.
Yeah.
I see everyone on there. I know my wife's in the other room. Diana, I know she's going like that
Hi,
right now.
Diana.
So
Hi, Annie.
yeah, so that's great. So what do you think about, because this is a question I ask myself too. I have a lot of friends in the wellness and spiritual world and things like that. And, what about the concept that this is all something the universe had planned? That's a very tough thing to live with. I mean, you have other people on the other spectrum. The earth could finally breathe. We're worried about oil prices, but instead of worrying about how we could keep the levels of use at this level. The people have a lot of perceptions. We put ourselves in this place. Like, I don't know. What do you say to people with these type of questions?
Well, I think that instead of looking at what we've done to get to this place, I'd rather look at what we
Yes.
can do moving
Yes.
forward.
Yes, and that's what I say to people medically too. People are trying to point fingers. Is this China's fault? Is it the WHO's fault? Is it the CDC? Who gave me COVID? I'm not
Right.
focusing on that. I'm
Right. We can do a
focusing
lot
on
of fault
forward.
finding. Yeah. Really
Obviously,
moving
yeah.
forward, let's use this. I mean, this is a collective bottom, right? So when an alcoholic hits bottom, right, they surrender and they become willing to change. So if the whole world is hitting bottom, my prayer would be that we would really be brought to our knees to surrender and be willing to change.
Yeah.
This is a journey that we're on, and it's going to change our lives forever.
Yeah.
Until there's a vaccine, we will be comfortable again. I hope and
But there
pray.
may be something else. There may be something else. We live in a very busy world. This isn't the first infectious disease we've had over thousands of years. It's not going to be the last. And, people always ask me because, again, my greatest asset is that I enjoy being motivational and being positive. And it's self-serving. It's part of my therapy is to be positive for others
Totally.
without it letting it wear on me. And I tell people that I have more of a positive outlook than I did during 9/11. I opened up my own practice a month before 9/11. And when it happened, I really, for a period, I had lost close friends and I had lost hope. I thought the world was going to be permanently less of a place. And I don't feel that way. I think there's an opportunity, despite the terrible loss that we have and will continue to have, that the world can be a better place because of all this and what we
Mm-hmm.
get through. And I really do believe that. And I think other people need to find that in some way or another, because ultimately it's that affirmation that's going to make it that way.
Yeah, and I think that, you have to ask when you wake up every day, rather than deciding what you think you need to do, you can say this mantra and you can say it to whatever you believe in. You can say it to God, you can say it to the universe, you can say
Yeah.
it to the voice of your higher self, as you spoke about, right?
Yeah.
But you can simply just wake up every morning and say, how would you use me?
Yeah.
And when we offer that prayer, how would you use me? Then we can let go. We don't have to figure it all out. And maybe that day, the best use of you is to just Peloton and then eat some cookies.
Yeah. I
Okay.
like that.
Like, that's a good day. How would you use me? And I think that, when this is all said and done, I do believe that the world will be a better place. I really do. I really believe that people will
Yeah.
feel more connected. I think that I really do believe that the truth will prevail. I believe that a lot of the lies and the propaganda will be dissolved, because what happens when the darkness is exposed is more and more people wake up to the truth.
Yeah.
So when things are taken from us, when we're uncomfortable enough to see that way.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. That's amazing. Were there any questions, anybody? I wanted to see someone had a question about poor people and people suffering, how it's tough for all this earlier. And it made me think of something you said in one of your books about how so many spiritual and social leaders who have been in destitute, horrible times, they maintain the same belief in the universe and going to love rather than fear. And I remember that because, again, myself is like, oh, this is at the beginning of this whole thing, people were talking about how this is a disease of equality. It hits everyone equal. And that is just not true. It hits African
Not true.
Americans much worse. It's hitting the poor population much worse. This, unfortunately, is taking the same toll that traditionally all bad things happen. it is affected by things like race and mostly socioeconomic class. So I understand the more heightened fears or wariness of people to take on what we're talking about. But then you talked about Gandhi, and you spoke about in your books of other leaders, of Nelson Mandela,
Yeah, what book
people.
is that from? Is that from Universe? I can't
That's from
remember.
Universe.
Yeah, yeah.
That's from Universe, and how
That they
there
were
are,
set with the most adversity
yeah,
that they could contemplate, and even in the midst of that, they chose to lead from a place of love. Now,
yeah,
listen, is it those of us that have the privilege to be sitting here right now with the
yeah,
internet, with an iPhone, with, if you're following myself or Paul, you've accepted that there's guidance to support you. So we're privileged no matter
yeah,
where we're sitting right now,
yeah,
okay?
yeah,
And a lot of the people that have this kind of privilege are sitting around thinking to themselves, well, who am I to feel good right now when there's so many people suffering? And my response is, who are you not to? Because
yeah,
if you have the resources to exercise, to eat food, to get on the internet, to have supportive people around you or supportive people on the internet to support you, then it is your responsibility to
yes,
raise your energetic vibration.
I
Because as I
agree.
said earlier, it is our energy that is our greatest contribution.
Yeah,
So for all those who are suffering, for all those who don't have the resources, for all those who don't have the money, or particularly what we're going to see happening in Africa, where there's just, I mean, there's no water
I
anyway.
know.
There's no
Yeah,
clean water anyway. When our heart breaks for these people, we have to return to our highest vibration, because it's
yeah,
in that highest vibration that you
yeah,
stepped out of quarantine and said, let me serve. It's in
yes,
our highest vibration that someone may wake up and say, I have to go and donate my money that I've just been holding on to and hoarding to this organization. It's when we're in our highest vibration that we do the work that we're here
yeah,
to do.
yeah.
Listen, I could have sat around and been like, I'm too busy, but I have been performing weddings. I have been
I
doing
know.
blessings for, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm saying that
No, I know.
that if I had just sat back and be like, I'm too busy, I've got a full-time childcare, full-time business to run, can't do anything, can't do it, I would be, and being the victim, I wouldn't have been able to gift myself and others
Yeah.
the energetic contribution.
Yeah, no, I always talk about the self in my own practice, whether you're talking about beauty or security, everything. Good vibrations and bad vibrations, they're extremely contagious. So if you do things for yourself that allow you to become positive, allow you to feel good about yourself, you will take that next step. It doesn't even have to be a choice. Other people will feel that energy off you,
Mm-hmm.
and it is contagious. And that's how I came around to all this. That you said it so better. It's just about like the more you do, it's infectious to other people around you. Excuse the terminology, but it
I know
just
it's the
is.
charm of terminology these days.
It really
Even
is.
using the word spread, like,
I
you
know,
know,
infectious and spread. And we'll
um,
do it step by step.
yeah, yeah. So I think that the other thing also is that your mental well-being will benefit everyone that is in touch with you in any way.
Yeah, yeah,
So people that may be in your home, people that you may be meeting up with to walk, to talk from car to car, or whatever it is
yeah.
that you're doing, or, a phone call or a FaceTime, that energy is going to have an impact.
Yeah. And I think for all of us, it's part of our therapy. And again, I've said this before, and you're not shy about saying this. A lot of your skills and what allows you to vibrate is because you recognize the trials and tribulations you went through in life. You know what I mean? To get to this point. And not that I'm woe is me. I've had such a great life in many ways, but we all have our journeys. And the only thing I would ever be disappointed about is if I don't learn from those journeys. That's
Yeah,
the only thing I beat myself up on. And
yeah.
we all have our own path. And I think once we walk through the fire, whatever that may be, and we learn from it, everyone else around is going to benefit from it. And
Hmm.
to me, that's part of my therapy. It's finding that and doing what I can. For now, it's social media. Tomorrow, it may be something else. So
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. And
anyway,
I think that just keep listening to that voice of your inner
yeah.
wisdom saying go.
I am very jealous of your home studio because I do have antibodies now and I need to do my own audiobook.
So DM me later, and
Yeah.
I'll send you the mic that my husband. This all happened, And my husband, so I usually go into the studio to record for my membership and record meditations, and now obviously can't. So my husband just sourced this microphone that is epic. Like when you go listen, guys, go to gabbybernstein.com/relief, and you'll share that. When you go listen to the audio meditation that I recorded, that was from here.
That's unbelievable.
And you can do your book with that. I'm going to actually be recording an Audible experience. It's a book, pretty much, from home.
Now,
next book.
Your next book is straight to Audible, correct? It's
straight to Audible, and then I can print it in a year after. Exactly.
And is this a book that has been in the works for the last 6 months? I mean, you go through books very quickly.
The craziest thing, it's not even crazy, it's the universe at work, right? I launched Super Attractor when did I launch Super Attractor? It feels like a million years ago. It was
It's not that long ago.
No, right? January.
Less than a year?
Yeah, no, it wasn't January. It was
November?
September, I guess. September.
Okay.
End of September. And then about January, I started, December-ish, I started writing You Are the Guru, which is my next book. Oh. And Audible's going to kill me because they haven't even approved the title yet. But like,
it's been only 4 months. It took me a year to do my freaking book.
I've written 8 books in 9 years.
You can knock it out. Yeah.
I knock it out. But you've been busy doing other things.
You do books like I do Botox. So
that's right, baby. You just get in and out. Let's go. Come on. So we're helping people in all kinds of ways.
I know.
So I wrote that book, and I was writing it, and when this all happened, I realized, wow, I wrote this book for exactly what we're going through. It's a book on how to be your own guru.
The universe does have a way.
Unbelievable how it all unfolded.
That is unbelievable. So, yeah. And I'm sure you've written your next book already. It's done, right?
I have. I'm actually selling it right now, and that's going to be a book about trauma and recovery from trauma, addiction, PTSD. And I'm like, hello, that book I've been wanting to write for 3 years, and now obviously is the time for that.
You know what?
Because
I've found in my own career as well. Sometimes it's like you fight, you want, you this, you're that, and then sometimes just the door just opens up in a weird way that you're just like, wow, I couldn't have planned it to work out that well.
That's why that prayer, that's why that prayer of how would you use me, or what miracles would you have me perform today, will be the best guiding force in your life, is whatever it is that you do. Because when I say that and live that, I don't really stress about what to do next.
And a lot of people, they'll say, well, those opportunities never seem to come up to me. And I say, they're there every day.
You know what's so interesting too that you said? So my editor and my husband, so I have a director of content for my company, and my husband, they edit my books before I submit them to the publisher, who then just does a very easy line edit. And in one of the chapters, I was talking about how in stillness we receive, and that when we are tuned into the voice of inspiration, that's when we just trust and know that what we're doing is exactly as it's supposed to be. And we don't get hung up about whether it's going to be a success or not, because we believe that it's going to make the impact it's meant to make. And my husband wrote a note in there, and he's like, well, is that really true? Like, do you really not care about whether this book is going to be successful? So I actually wrote in there, like, as I'm writing this book right now, I'm not hung up about how many people are going to read it. All I care about is getting this inspiration onto the page.
I know.
And so then when I wrote that, and Zach wrote, are you sure? Like, of course you care about how many people are reading. And I actually wrote back to both of them, and I said, I was like, actually, you're wrong. I will not be editing a word of this paragraph. I live from that place, and how dare I even contemplate writing it if I didn't truly live that.
You're vibrating very well, because we all have that Gabby and Zach on each shoulder,
right?
Because you want the success. You've worked hard for it. You do this, and there is something to be said. You have to be in the game to be good at it. But it's about having that perspective that you're taking your path. You believe in it. And you have to give into it. You have to give into it.
The whole lesson is, if you're living and leading and creating from a place of inspiration, you can have tremendous faith it's going to work out. And I can truly stand behind that, so much so that I just told my husband, I'm deleting your comment, because this is. And then my editor wrote back, I love this response.
I know.
Yeah.
It's all good. Well, we're both going to be quite busy, I'm sure, This conversation can go on and on. I'm so appreciative that after knowing you and speaking about skin and medicine, that I finally got my life coach session. And I know we're going to have so much more to talk about. I'm excited for your book. I'm excited for my book, and our friendship that has continued to grow. So I thank you
Totally.
so much, my audience out there, everybody. I love Gabby, and I will see you soon, young lady.
Goodbye. Goodbye to your wife. Goodbye to your sister. May you guys feel really safe, and may you get healthier and healthier every day, my
Thank you.
friend.
I will speak
Okay.
to you. Bye.
Big deal.